Today's video is brought to you by mountains. They give you shade from the sun. Thanks, mountains. What's going on, YouTube? It's Jason with JJ Drones, and this is not the way I wanted to start my video, but with as long as it took me to get out of the customer today, this is the way that it's going to be. And now I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and we're going to discuss mountain driving. Mountain driving is probably some of the most dangerous driving a truck driver can possibly do, and it's also the most beautiful. We're going to discuss mountain driving. We're going to discuss why it's important to be slow and take it easy, and you're going to see some escape ramps this time. We're just getting into the foothills of the mountains now. The grades are getting a little bit steeper, and I only have about 20,000 pounds in the trailer, so I'm not as heavy as, you know, some other trucks would be, so I can probably go up these hills a little bit faster. But the key to driving up the mountains is to just take your time, stay in the right lane. If you get below the minimum speed, which right now is 55 in the left lane, most states it's 45. And if you get under that minimum speed, you want to turn on your four-way flashers. And I am just about there, so I'm just going to turn them on right now. Now this truck in front of me, he's already got his four-ways on, so as you can tell, he's going slower than I am. So I'm looking ahead and I'm looking behind me, and I don't have a bunch of traffic behind me, so I'm going to go ahead and get into this middle lane. So that I can get in front of him. Now I'm going to have to downshift one. Now you want to make sure that you're paying attention to how you're downshifting, because depending on how far you downshift, the gear that you're in, when you go down the other side of the mountain grade, you're supposed to go down one gear lower than what you went up in. Right now I am in 10th gear, but I'm gaining speed, so I'm going to go ahead and upshift. Now I'm in 11th gear. if you don't take your time and you're in a rush and you go down the mountains too fast, you can only go down the mountain too fast once. But you can go down the mountain 500 times too slow and you'll be fine because you're being safe. You don't want to be like some of these people that'll just take it out of gear and just let it go down the hill. And there's another chain law enforced sign. They are very, very strict about their chain laws in Colorado. Now I'm in 12th gear and I'm above 55, so I'm going to turn my flashers off. And Florida man just pulled in front of me. So I have to slow down and I have to back off. Just because somebody cuts in front of you doesn't give you the right to ride their bumper. Now, the speed limit here is 65. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just going up, holding the accelerator down, and then when I start getting to the crest of the hill, I'm letting off the accelerator and I'm letting the Jake brake do the work. Now, I've got it on full because I want the full force of the Jake brake to go ahead and slow down my truck. I don't want to use the brakes because if you use your brakes going down every hill, you're going to get something they call brake fade. And what brake fade is you're basically just burning the pads off of your brakes. And when that happens, then you've got a trail of smoke going behind you, and eventually your brakes are going to fail completely. So go easy on the brakes. Let the motor do the work. I mean, it's designed to do that. And the sign just said, engine brake mufflers required. Well, I mean, most of the newer trucks have them anyway. If you hear a truck going down the road and it's just that's a truck with a Jake brake that doesn't have mufflers. My truck doesn't sound like that. Sounds cool. And trust me, drivers like to drive through truck stops in the middle of the night, just hammering on those Jake brakes, and will wake you up because it sounds cool. But just because it sounds cool doesn't make it right. I'm sorry. Okay, if you look at that sign, it says vehicle over 26,000 GVWR, which is us, needs to do 45 miles an hour down this next hill. Okay, so what we're gonna do is once we get to the top of this hill, we're gonna select our gear. So right now I'm in 10th gear, and I'm going to want to go down into 9th. And the reason that I do 9th is I take 45 and I take the 4 and the 5, I add them together, it equals 9. So that will tell me I want to be in 9th gear. It's a rule of thumb. It doesn't always work out depending on your transmission, but it does work for this transmission. And I drive a 13-speed manual. If you have an automatic, well, you don't have to worry about selecting a gear. So I'm in 9th gear. I got my Jake brake on full. I'm taking my foot off of the accelerator pedal, and now we're just going to go down, and we're going to let the truck motor do the work. It's going to slow us down, and I may actually take my my Jake brake and I may actually put it down a notch. I put it down to 2 because 3 was actually getting me below 40, and 2 is not enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate between full Jakes and then medium Jakes as I go down the hill, and I'm not going to have to touch my brakes at all. You're saving your brakes, you're letting the motor do the work. I'm still at 45. And this is a 6% grade. I'm still sitting at 45. I haven't touched my brakes once. Not once. Now you're going to have to use your brakes if you're heavier. I'm not saying that these Jake brakes are the end all to be all, but you can still use them along with the brakes so that you're not just, destroying your brakes going down the hill. Now, if you're like me and you're at around 20,000 pounds, no big deal. The truck can handle it. It's made to handle a lot worse. All right, now we're getting down to the bottom of the hill. I don't see a sign yet saying that I can speed up, so I'm still going to maintain 45 miles an hour until this tells me differently. That sign says that this is a 50 mile an hour curve. So being at 45, not a big deal. We're already under that speed limit. And remember that those signs are for four-wheelers, they're not for trucks. So you want to go slower than the speed that's posted anyway. But do you see how somebody could just really let that truck get away from them? I mean, that entire time we were going down the hill, I didn't have an issue because of how light I am and because I was using the engine brake. But if somebody was just, kept the truck in high gear and they just rode their brakes all the way down the hill, well, it wouldn't take much. Okay, now this sign says I can do 55. So now we're going to go ahead and increase our speed up to 55. We're not going to do full 55 through these curves because that would be unsafe. And we want to also maintain our distance to the cars in front of us. And now we have a tunnel. And what do we do when we go through a tunnel? We turn our lights on. That's not the cool tunnel we're going to be going through. That's the cool tunnel we're going to be going through is the Eisenhower tunnel. And not long after that, you should be able to see one of the truck runaway ramps. I mean, it's different to see it in pictures than it is to see it up close and personal. And you never want to see one up close and personal because that means that you made a big mistake. I mean, if you have to use it, use it. That's what they're there for. Don't worry about what's going to happen to the truck. is going to save your life. Left lane minimum 55, so that tells you right there we're going to be going up a hill. All right, now we're going up the hill. I hit 45 miles an hour, so I'm going to turn my flashers on. I'm currently in 10th gear, but I'm going to have to drop down to 9th. Now I'm down to 9th gear. Now this gear seems like it's holding pretty steady. We'll see what happens. And the good thing about looking in your mirrors is you get to see everything around you. All the people that get tunnel vision while they're driving, they're missing out. The sun is really starting to cramp my style here. Okay, we've got two slower trucks in front of us. But the traffic in the left-hand lane won't allow us to move over. Plus, you're not allowed over in that lane unless you're doing 55. So you basically have to slow down. So we're going to drop it a gear. Always read your signs. I mean, there's no mystery to it. If you read your signs, you're going to be fine.
You're the best girl I've ever known. I'm not going to waste this. What you want to do now? Should we head back to my place? When you give me that smile, I think my heart's turning up the pace. I don't care about what we do if I get to be with you. What you want to do now? What's to be afraid of when we're young, stupid, and in love? Fix your eyes on me. I can't help myself, fall in love, I go crazy. What you wanna do now? Should we head back to my place? When you give me that smile, I think my heart's turning up the pace. I don't care about what we do if I get to be with you.
All of this snow reminds me of a video that I watched from We're the Roberts. You can check their channel out right over here, and it'll be down in the description below. He decided that he was going to take out Jack out in the snow, and he wasn't sure how it was going to fare. I'm not going to tell you how it ends. You need to go watch the video for yourself, and that'll be in the cards up there somewhere. This guy, he was going to quit YouTube, and I think a lot of people convinced him not to, and I'm glad that he didn't, because he has some really, really good editing skills. and I don't know how to pronounce it, so if I butcher it, I'm sorry. It's Divine AA or Divine AA. Either way, his channel is right here, and I'm going to put his link in the description below, and it'll be somewhere up here in the cards too. But now we are going into the Eisenhower Tunnel, and if you are familiar with TFL and the world's toughest towing test, this is where they go. And I'm going to turn my lights on because we're going to be going into the tunnel. And on the other side, we're going to have the opportunity to let the motor slow us down.